Hey guys, today back in for a second round two of this. Really appreciate the 20 views. Very close to 20. I don't know what it is right now, but I really appreciate that for my first video. Really love it. Love to see it. Let's continue the support. I'm going to try and keep making deck profiles each day because I have a lot of decks. But once I stop doing that, I want to try and do test hands with them, so let me know in the comments. But shout out to my brother named FoxKing32. He does way different content than me over here. He does football card openings, he does YouTube shorts. He is a main reason why I am starting my channel because I've always wanted to do YouTube and now he's tackling it. And I want to kind of tackle it too. So I really appreciate you guys. So let's get on into this. So we're going to go off into our main deck here. So we are running three of, I think, the best Zark-related card here, Supreme King Gate Magician. This card can get you into your gates, your Supreme King gates, your Supreme King Zark Sparrow Traps, and I want to showcase a quick little, easy little combo at the end here to maybe give you guys an idea of what you're wanting to do with this guy. He is the powerhouse staple of this deck, and if you're planning on making Zark, get a hold of him first. This deck can also be really cheap too, like I said with Speedroids yesterday. These decks are very cheap, don't cost a lot. There's only a few cards that cost maybe $10, but it's very budget friendly. We're also running 3 Dark Worm because we always want to see this card in our open hand. Because this card can get us to stuff like our Gate Magicians, our Gate Zeros if we need them, and we already opened up Gate Magician, but this thing can get us to so many things. This is also, I would say, a starter like Gate Magician, but this one's even better because this is what you want to start out with, which when we get to the combo portion, I'll be able to showcase what you can really do with a Dark Woman combo. Now we're running just 3 generic good pendulum, 3 of a very good generic pendulum monster, Perform Pascal by Joker. This thing's amazing because when it's normal summon, you can add 1 Perform Power monster, Magician Pendulum monster, or Odd Eyes monster, so it can serve as a really good search for the deck. And it's also a normal summon, which can get you more monsters on the board for those good link summons that you're really trying to go for. So that's also a really good card. Now into our hand traps, we're running 3 Ash for the 3 Fs. 3 Ash and 3 Valor. Like I said earlier, Droll is really good, but for the meantime, because I don't have 6 Drolls, I only have 3. Effect Valor can also do really good because it can negate a lot of effects that Fire Kings do. Because like when you special summon them, Effect Valor can't do their thing. They are very limited. And you know, like how I talked about Ash yesterday, can stop people from adding cards from deck to hand, sending cards from deck to graveyard, or special summoning for it and sending a card from deck to graveyard. This card can actually shut down Zark, which I'll talk about here once we get into the spells and traps. But this is just Ash Blossom and Effect are very good. Now running 2 Revolution Dragon. This thing can get you into all your dragon-related Zark cards and your Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon if you really need it. Plus, you don't want to run 3 of, I would say would be okay if you want to ramp it up to 3. But Revolution is perfectly fine at 2, even 1. You just really want this thing here, so like maybe you get like hand trapped on like the special summon to Dark Worm, you can still use Revolution to try and get it out. So Revolution is just a really solid card for this deck. It's very solid 2 of, but it can also be 3 or 1. Now I'm running 2 Lightworm. This card is a brick, because you want this thing in your pendulum zones only, which once we get into the combo video, I'll show you how you will get to this instead of having it in your opening hand. But if you have it in your opening hand, it is a very bad thing, because you already have ways to get to this card guaranteed, and having that so it's in your opening hand, it will be very bad and very detrimental, because you'll be losing out on some very good resources like hand traps or other stuff like that. Another 2 of Supreme King Gate Zero. This card's amazing. This is your generic low pendulum scale that you can get into easily with stuff like Supreme King Gate Magician or even Beyond the Pendulum if you're deciding to use Beyond the Pendulum for that. And yeah, Supreme King Gate Zero can do really good even when Zark's on the field because this thing isn't limiting, and once you get Zark onto the field, you take 0 damage with him on the field. So Gate Zero is a very good pendulum low scale monster that you can get out easily. In 2 hand traps, the 2 of the other hand traps we're running is Ghostbound Haunted Mansion. This is the last of these. This just stops graveyard-related things, which now, in the current format, would also do really good in a lot of decks because Ghost Spell can stop cards from banishing themselves, special summoning from graveyard, and adding a card from graveyard to hand or to deck or extra deck. It can do so much against these things. I'm only running 2 though because I don't think 3 is super necessary, but 2 could be definitely really good. But you could also ramp it up to 3, lower the effect failure / droll if you really need to, but that's all up to personal preference. Now we're running, for the one those, 1 Arc Pendulum Dragon, 1 Astrograph, and 1 Nibiru. This is to satisfy the needs of Zark, and once we get into the spells here in a couple seconds here, this card is going to be, you're going to see why we're running this and why it's kind of doing what it's doing, and why we're not running actual normal, just Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, but instead we're running Arc. We're also running Astrograph Sorcerer. This card is just a very good Pendulum Monster, because when a Pendulum Monster on your field is destroyed by card effect by battle, you can special summon it, and then get back that monster. So very good. And then 1 Nib, because Nibiru is just a good card. But we're only running 1 because it can be very detrimental to Pendulum, because it has to destroy all monsters. Which, if you have just Nib on the board, it depends where you place it. So you'd have to be smart with placement. You could ramp it up, but it would be very iffy if that's what you're trying to go for. It'd be a very iffy card to run. For spells, we're running 3 Wings of Light. This card is a super good Zark card, because during the main phase, you can add 1 Supreme King Dragon or Supreme King Gate Pendulum Monster from your deck to hand. So if you need to search them out and you have Wings of Light in your hand, don't be scared to use it. But this is only once per turn, and another caveat to this is that if you control Supreme King Zark, you can just special summon the monster instead, which a lot of the time you don't want to special summon it unless it's like stuff like Dark Worm, Light Worm. But if it's like 0, you just want to add it to your hand. So Wings of Light is a very good card, very easy to get a hold of. It's just super good on the Zark side. Now for another 3, we're running 3 Dragon Shrine. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to having Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon instead of just Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, because you can first send it off as a normal summon, and then as a normal monster, then send off your Dark Worm into your graveyard. Super good, because then you can get Dark Worm live to be able to special summon the Negate Magician. It's just, these 3 are your like main extenders, in which once we get into the 1-ofs, there is 1 more 1-of that sends from deck to grave. We're also running 2 Duelist Alliance. This is to search out your pendulum monsters or pendulum spell and traps, which we're running 1 pendulum monster and 1 pendulum spell or trap. No, sounds confusing. It is. It's such a tongue twister. Say that 5 times as fast, you know what I'm saying. But Duelist Alliance, though, is a very good card, because all you need is just something in your Pendulum Zone to be able to search off, which isn't that big of a deal, because you already have a card in your Pendulum Zone, hopefully, and Duelist Alliance helps out there. For the 1-ofs, we're running 1 Called By, 1 Evolution, and 1 Foolish. This is what I'm talking about for the extra, just like graveyard power by sending Dark Worm. Dragon Shrine is preferred, but Foolish Burial is good too. Called By to get rid of hand traps if it's really necessary, and then Evolution to get into your Gate Magician if you need it, or to make it so your Zark can attack all monsters your opponent controls, which could just be a good board fight because Zark's already 4k attack. So these are all just also really good. Pendulum Evolution especially for getting to your things, Called By to stop hand traps, and Foolish just to be able to combo. Now for the traps, we're running 1 Soul of the Supreme Celestial King, 1 Miracle of the Supreme King, and 1 Soul of the Supreme King. We're not running Imperm. I don't have, like I said, same thing with Droll. You can easily replace some cards in this deck with 3 Imperm. It's all the personal preference. But Soul of the Supreme Celestial King is the way you're going to get out Zark really easily. And I'll explain that in a little bit, what it can do in more depth. Then Miracle of the Supreme King, it can make it so you can destroy Supreme King Zark and special summon the light version. Odd Eyes Arc Ray Dragon, which this card is very iffy. Don't get me wrong. This card, you want to run it, but it's very iffy. And then Soul, it's just an easy way to cheat out Zark, and you also get to return it by your end phase, or whatever end phase you decide to summon it on. So it can be an extra good wall for you if you desperately need it. Alright. Now into the extra deck. We're running 1 Odd Eyes Arc Ray Pendulum, one Odd Eyes Arc Ray Dragon, and 1 Zark. These 2 are the boss monsters of the deck. Zark more of, but Odd Eyes Arc Dragon can really get the job done if you want to get Zark into your Pendulum Scale, which he is a active skill drain for most of, if not all, extra deck monsters except for Lynx, because Lynx ran out at the time when Zark was being printed. This is just a really good generic card to have. It's just a good card for Zark. because the next name is Zark. This is your main boss monster. And once he hits the field, he bombs it, which Soul of the Supreme King has to banish those dragons. And if they at least one of each are in the banish zone, you can special summon it with its effects. So it's a little easy way to cheat it out to get that big boom on the field. But yeah, I love this card. Next up to our just another 2 fusions, we're running 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon as a way to get out Zark, and Vortex Dragon because this card is just also a really good staple to most Pendulum decks. I love it. You get to shuffle back a Pendulum monster from your extra deck and negate a spell or trap, which can be very detrimental to some plays on other decks. And Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, like I said, we're banishing it with Soul of the Supreme Celestial King. And if not, we're using Soul of the Supreme King to special summon them all back. So it's very back and forth. Now for our synchros, we're running 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon and 1 Supreme King Dragon Clearwing. This to also be procced to also proc the Soul of the Supreme Celestial King, and this as a bomber, because this card's also really good for pendulums. A lot of cards are really good for pendulums, don't get me wrong, that will be showing in this extra deck. So, but Supreme Dragon Clearwing is really good because you can easily cheat it out with stuff with Lightworm's Pendulum Effect and Darkworm, which when I get into the combo, this will be shown pretty prominently. Now for Xyz, we're running 1 Dark Rebellion, 1 Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon Overlord, and 1 Absolute Dragon. This is to get out your... Hold on, let me grab it here. To get out your Odd Eyes Rebellion Xyz Dragon, which then can go into Overlord, which Overlord can do massive damage. Rebellions to help with Soul of the Supreme Celestial King. But you can also use it as a main monster if your Soul of the Supreme Celestial King got negated, because it's still a very good card, and Absolute is just to help get into these. It's meant to be used to be able to link off into other things. So that is very good. Very good. Now for our 1 of links, we're running 1 Appaloosa and 1 Exceed. Exceed is just a generically good card out of Age of Overlord, and Appaloosa is also a generically good card that you can easily get out. These 2 easy to get out when we get into the 2 of links, and they're just also negate. This thing can get you back something from your face-up extra deck, and it can just combo off even more if you need to go up that further step. Now for the 2-ofs, we're running 2 of the Odd Eyes Rebellion Xyz Dragon, just in case if like one is destroyed. One's to be able to be used also for Soul of the Supreme Celestial King because it has the name Xyz Dragon. The other is meant to be actually used for the combo into Rebellion Dragon Overlord. But these are just meant to be extenders or thrown away with Soul of the Supreme Celestial King. So, and then for our last 2-ofs, 2 Beyonds, in case one gets ashed, you can link off into the other one and still use its main effect, which is to add a pendulum monster from deck to hand if you really need it. And yeah, this is also a major combo piece for Zark. Okay, into the side deck. So it might be a little scary to see this, but we're running a Selene Queen of the Master Magicians, a Borreload Savage Dragon, and an Ignister Prominence the Draco Slayer. These cards are also very good for this deck. Selene can easily use her effect of, if this card summon play spell counters on it, to be able to special summon monsters depending on the amount of counters it has, and which you have to use up 3. So it's kind of like Appaloosa, but not really, because Appaloosa doesn't special summon, she negates, and her price is a little more hefty. Borreload Savage, just a generic good synchro. And Ignister is also a very good... It's a pop shuffle, where you pop a Pendulum monster and shuffles a card on an opponent's field. I have a very funny story about this card, because one time when I went to locals, I was running this in my extra deck, and I special summoned it, and I did not use its pop shuffle effect, and I had Zark in my Pendulum zone. And my opponent was using Utopic F-Zero, and so I couldn't attack over him, he couldn't attack me, and I forgot completely about this effect. Please remember this. If your opponent tries to lock you with Utopia F-Zero, remember, Ignister is in your side, so do not be afraid to side it in. Now, for monsters, we're running 1 Dissolver, 1 Celestial, 1 Predaplant, Bufalokia, and 1 Chronograph. These cards are just generic good. This one can get you easy fusions. This one can help you get into more things. Bufalokia is just like Dissolver, but lower scale. But this is limiting you to 1 Dark. This is limiting you to 1 Dragon, so be very wary about that. And Chronograph is just like Astrograph, where you can tribute it off special summon Zark. It's just the same thing, but it's basically the same card. It can be used in a lot of situations. So those cards are really good. Now onto the spells. We're running 1 Book of Clips. This card's just a really good card. You can shuffle. You can put all your opponent's monsters face down. You're meant to be running 3 of these, so when we're going through here, it's all up to personal preference. But yeah, I mean, you want to run 3 of these. This is a really good card. Now for 3Os, we're running 3 Allure of Darknesses, each rarity, by the way, which 1 rare, 1 super, 1 ultra. You can draw 2 cards and banish 1 dark monster. This card you don't want to try and use as much. This is just to fill in slots, but you can easily do it with Dark Worm and stuff like that to be able to get an easy 2 if you really need it. Allure, it's just insane. I like Allure. Allure is just a generic good card for decks that run dark monsters. You don't want to open this though. God no, that's not what you want to be doing. And then 3Os that you can also replace. MST. Target 1 power, track card on the field, destroy it. It doesn't negate, it doesn't banish, it just destroys, which can be good if you're facing off against Fire Kings, destroy their Fire King Island, destroy their Fire King Sanctuary. MST is just your kind of my personal answer for this currently in Zark. You want to be running different cards though, don't get me wrong. These are not what you want to be running. Instead, you would probably want to be running 3 Imperm here instead of these. So yeah. Okay, moving on to the combo portion. There's a 2-card combo you can easily do with Dragon Shrine or Foolish Burial. And then a generic normal summon. Here we're just going to use Ash. We're going to use Ash Blossom because it's a good normal summon that you can get if you need it. So here's how you would do this. If you're deciding to use Dragon Shrine, you would use Dragon Shrine effect to send Arc Pendulum Dragon first, and then send Dark Worm to graveyard. So now you already have your 2 monsters in there. You're getting Arc Pendulum Dragon out of the deck, so then you can go into more. Because if you have this out of your deck, it's a brick. You don't want it. You'd rather have it in your graveyard. So now, because of Dark Worm's special ability, where if you control the monsters, you can special summon it from the extra deck. You can special summon it from your graveyard if you control the monsters. You're going to special it, activate the effect to have 1 Supreme King Gate Pendulum monster. Which now, here's where we get into the fun of it, which is now we're into our Gate. Gate Magician, really good. Because now you're going to Pendulum Scale it and activate its effect to pop itself. I don't know if it's... Hold on, let me read it real quick. Yeah, you're destroying it. So you're destroying it, and then scaling a Supreme King Gate, which is going to be your 0. So you're already at your low scale. Already at it. Now here's where we get into the normal summon. You're going to normal Ash. Use Ash Dark Worm. Actually, Dark Worm would go into extra deck. I always get confused by that. Don't get confused by that, because people probably won't try and catch you on it. Now you're going to special summon Beyond and activate the effect to pay 1,200 to add 1 Pendulum monster from deck to hand. We're going to be adding Lightworm. Lightworm is very good. And now we're going to Pendulum Scale it. And now we're going to Pendulum Summon back Dark Worm and Gate. And we're going to activate Gates on Special Summon effect to add a Spell Trap card that mentions Supreme King's Arc, which will be Soul of the Supreme Celestial King. Okay, now we're going to set and pass turn. And now we're going to wait for them to do their thing. So let's say they're getting a little far ahead. We don't like it. We're going to activate the effect of Soul. Tributing off Gate Magician here. And banishing your Fusion Dragon, your Clearwing Dragon, your Rebellion Dragon, and then your Pendulum Dragon to special out Supreme King's Arc to just re-nuke the whole field. You're basically telling him, not try again. So let's say they're able to play through Zark. They special summon again. You can activate Lightworm's Pendulum Summon ability, which is you get to target a monster on your field, special summon it, then immediately Synchro RCs. So we're going to use his effect to target Dark Worm. Then it's going to special summon. We're going to Synchro off into level 8. And here's where we're going to special summon Supreme King Dragon Clearing, which bombs the field again. And even if they're able to do damage, we have 0. So now let's say it's our turn. We're able to successfully play. We're able to get this field up. We're going to draw. We open Gate. Perfect. Now, we're going to be able to use Gate's effect to special himself out by sending a Dimension Dragon from field to graveyard, which will be Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon. Now we're going to activate his special summon effect to add a card that mentions Zark, which will be Pendulum Evolution, because it mentions Zark in its text. We're going to activate it. We're not going to use its effect yet, but we're now going to swap Zark and Clear Wing to attack position. Because at this point, you don't need to care about stuff like that. You got all you need. Activate Illusion, Pendulum Evolution, target Zark, make it so it can attack all of its monsters. Attack all the monsters, attack with Gate. You can attack again after it attacks all the monsters. It can attack directly too. So you can attack directly with Zark after you attack all again, then Clear Wing, Gate, you have game. This is the combo you want to set up. I'm not going to be doing test hands in this video. Maybe later down the line I will do test hands for this. I have another deck coming up here, and I really like this one. It can just be very bricky, and that's just a problem with that. And yeah, that's just like its only problem, is that it can consist of bricks. But let me know in the comments section down below if there's any changes you would make to this deck list, if there's anything like I should change, if there's any like hidden little texts you can teach. Please let me know down below. Thank you guys for your support on the last one. I really appreciate that. And yet again, shout out to FoxKing32. He makes way different content. He's my younger brother. Support him. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.